thump it all you want to. And of course, if you want a copy, here's the good news. I have it online, for easy reading in your own window, right? And let me get you the link for that, okay? And then we are going to have a live stream to YouTube. So if you're not in OpenSimulator, you don't have to feel like you can't be part of what we're doing, right? No matter where you are, we want you to be comfortable and to enjoy these sessions. In particular, Spinoza and I are going to forecast a session that will be interesting to Nonprofit Commons. And I was going to do a little recap of it, but from a very different take in 2024 on how we designed the Wounded Healer uh, exhibit. And it's not just an exhibit, it's an activity where you actually go through and manipulate all the objects and start rebuilding the pottery yourself. And so we call it contemplative pathways for the Kintsugi wounded warrior. But I'm getting ahead of myself. If you look in the lower left corner, we have 3 hours of dancing today, and which begin at noon, Second Lifetime, right? Pacific. And of course, we would love for you to come over and join us dance. It's on our music stage region, and that's a graceful way for all the presenters and friends to come by and to wish us a wonderful year and to celebrate this amazing community. I think of the community as this extended group which embraces VWBPE, VWEC, the Nonprofit Commons, and many, many groups. VWER or VER, all of our different acronyms and the Science Circle, you name it. Whoever we are, all of our groups come together and bridge across this amazing world. Now, why do open source software conferences matter? I know it doesn't seem as easy to get to OpenSim as it is to Second Life for you, but we would like our world to always continue to be vibrant, to involve persons from all over, including educators who teach children. And we can't do that here in Second Life. So we want to bridge communities. Now, you'll notice at 7 a.m. on both days, the events begin. On Saturday, it's with the core developers group. So our core devs who design our software and maintain it and work tirelessly gather to talk about their interests and where we're going in the future. Afterward, Lone Wolf is talking about OpenSim on a bigger scale. And you're going to notice that a lot of the talks are going to be about bridging technology, bridging between worlds. They'll include Second Life and OpenSim, and thinking about strengthening our software and our experience and where we're going, setting us on fire with new techniques. OpenSimulator for WordPress is an interface that integrates both of them. So if you're using WordPress and you want to integrate your worlds, that's a wonderful talk. And he began that last year, and we're excited to see the new developments in his product. um, the art of smoothly moving objects in OpenSim. Many of the techniques you're going to learn here will apply, to Second Life too. And so that gives us great strength there. He has an amazing exhibit, and I want to tell you, this year the posters for 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 our Open Simulator Community Conference are fantastic. You should see Val's, and you should see all the different exciting posters. They've ripped out some of the gazebos, put up some cool content. They have stuff everywhere, and it's a real blessing. I want you to enjoy that, and that's on the OSCC Expo Zone 3 region. And I have a map coming up for it. Well, there's a break at 9 a.m., and then we continue with Nick's Breen, who's going to talk about EEP. That's the environment settings here in Second Life and OpenSim. And he's going to give some tips for creating an experience that's just amazing. I don't know if you ever do that on your regions and then configure them, or if you haven't done it for yourself, he has some tips for us. Then my session with Kintsugi Contemplative Pathways for the Wounded Healer. What Spinoza has done is he took our Sakurajima uh, region and it's actually a grid for us. And he has created this interactive simulation with several stations and a lot of content. And by the way, I did promise to give out the link. If you didn't get it here, let me put it back in the chat. That's for the slides. I also have a preamble link if you'd like to see what we're doing for Kintsugi as well. So I'll give you that as well. Now, after our little session, then we have the art and artistry and amazing Art Blue and Julieta Surreal Dreaming, and they're going to do the word and message art. Say what? And of course, they're doing a kickoff on this experience. That's amazing. And then they bridge on the break with a tour of the surreal uh, art museum that is on the property. Now, when you're on OpenSim, you can type in the world map OSCC and see many of the regions, but not all of them. You will notice on that the surreal museum doesn't begin with OSCC, neither does the planetarium and a couple of others, maybe the meta one. But do not worry, you can see most of the properties that way by just typing in the world map OSCC and navigating to the OSCC keynote region for all the cool content, right, on Saturday and Sunday. But if you wanted to tour all the expo regions, there's at least five, if not six of them, with all kinds of crowdfunder content, Beth's amazing classic things to wear, shops, you name it. We have the shopping zone, all of the things we've had in the past, and then more. Speaking of which, if you glance for just a moment at Sunday, you'll notice I'm going to take us on a shopping tour. I'm going to finalize it today because I asked the community to give me cool links to content that is not copybotted. So and that's always a difficult thing, right? Well, you'd think I am, but I'm still wearing the same clothes I've worn for a few years, okay? I did buy new outfits, Wisdom Seeker, from Kitely, and I also picked up quite many, many free outfits. But the problem is, I just love what I wear, okay? But yeah, we're gonna go shopping because that stimulates our creativity, our self expression, our identity, and our identities matter, right? We have to be comfortable with ourselves, or we can't feel comfortable with the world and the people around us, right? So we're going to go get comfortable and do that on Sunday for an hour. I know I'm hopping around a little bit, but my goal is not to read to you today, but to take you through this journey. And let me pull up some more links. I don't know if Rhiannon has put them here in the uh, text chat, but on the conference site, the conference is conference, if you start with that word, opensimulator.org. And you can register for it. We love for you to register just so we can count how many people are interested in the things we do and our impact. But it's not required. You can certainly uh, the live stream will be over Avicon Inc. in the YouTube channel. And let me show you both the compact schedule. This is a quick look. It's vertical, unlike mine, right? Mine, I like to know who's speaking when and how to pre-stage for them. And yes, I've gone to the dark mode. I do have a white version of it as well, but it's hard for my eyes to see. My apologies. And then there's the full schedule that gives you all the presenters, all the backstory. And yesterday we held the educator meetup, that spotlight, and we had such fun. I do have an image, a couple of images from that to share with you. Now, what's the rest of Wednesday is just amazing. We have Mal Burns, myself, and the viewer panel. We have the Core Dev VIP, of course, on the lunch break, where they talk candidly about their plans for the future. And then we do the viewer panel back in the OSCC keynote stage. And we have several different viewer developers with us. Beck Janice wasn't able to make it for the conference, but we're so thankful for her and all her hard work on the Firestorm viewer. We're going to give you tips in just a moment to strengthen your use of it right now while they have an issue with the animation override feature. So do not touch the lower right corner of the animation, that AO or animation override button in the lower right corner, do not touch it. It is broken. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, great. All right. Well, the rest of the afternoon has some amazing sessions as well. And you'll notice we are kind of like at the 2 o'clock mark. It's not really open at 1:30. We now have an empathy session. So I'm not showing it on the schedule, but it was newly opened and it's from uh, researchers and educators in Israel and other parts of the world coming together to talk about how they teach and share empathy among their students and others. So that'll be at 1:30 and all these times are Pacific. And then, of course, we have Unleashing the Power of Animesh. This will be a Kitely kind of presentation. So we're going to have different communities speaking up with all the cool designs and development they've been doing in these various technologies. And then Cooper Swizzle, that'll be Kim Starr. Then Cooper Swizzlestick and Carla Kincaid um, I abbreviated her name as KY, but it's hyphenated. We'll be talking about some very amazing things related to soft skills training and how they use bots and others to create experiences. If you may think back to when we went over to Kitely and experienced the Clan of the Cave Bear kind of exhibit that he had and some of the work they were doing in their area. Then we're going to have a break in the state of the metaverse where we look at how healthy is OpenSim in our world and where are we going with it. Now, these are responses to surveys on hypergrid business and also putting a finger to the pulse on some of our grids that are up and coming and growing. Then Maria Korloff is also going to run a generative AI session, that you won't want to miss. And she's been publishing so many science fiction books and tips on creativity. So we're looking forward to that. Then from Indonesia, we have Maria Magdalena. Olive Tree and her have been working closely together to augment the work that she's doing with students. And of course, she's going to be talking about managing student emotions. So you're going to notice the theme this year encompasses a lot about wounded healers, emotions, empathy. There's just a lot going on for social good. And so then do you know who I am? There's Marie Vance and Bethany Winslow talking about our avatars and our identities and developing our sense of self as we share ourselves and share presence in the metaverse. Um, then we conclude with a really cool one. Kugo Rajal is one of our core developer attendees at the meeting each week working on the software. He also worked at NASA and he's a data scientist who has a GitHub site and he has developed a supercar using bullet sim physics with Mr. Blue, who's responsible for it on our core dev team. And they're going to be he's going to be talking about the supercar and releasing it and exhibits of it. They're going to be around the sandbox for people to get in and try out and understand how these things are developed. And so he's going to present that. And so we're thankful for that. Then we're going to dance for 3 hours. We have live music and DJs and just a lot of fun Saturday night. Um, and then Sunday morning, we're so thankful. Kay McLennan always kicks us off with a cool Tulane University exhibit for educators. She's doing, uh, and of course, I'm looking at this little one as opposed to the big one. I should pull up the big one, right? But but I'm getting into your experience where we just zoom on in. Virtual world dioramas and student portfolio galleries. So she's always thinking about the takeaways that students have when they have these kinds of experiences. And here's what I want to invite you to do. As you see these exhibits, I want you to think about your outreach with your folks and the things that you could do, both in world and out of world, to strengthen their experience. You will notice um, if you glance towards the end of the day, Rachel Umoran from University of Washington is going to talk about how she helped save the lives of newborn babies, through training their mothers using VR and virtual worlds in essential skills. So we have these bookended on Sunday. Then Lisa Laxton has been, and Frank Ruloff, he's now retired, but he's with TELUS. over in the Netherlands, they have been working on the Echo Voice and the Scene Gate viewers for persons with disabilities and for students or anyone who finds it's a cognitive overload to get exposed to the viewer the first day in a virtual world. So they've been working on different technologies, and they're going to talk about the state of that, where they're going, and how that those projects are working for about an hour there. And then we have the survival game. Ori Shapiro, and is going to talk about how he teaches science in the metaverse. And you'll notice he speaks again after the break. You know, we have a little break for him. Elaine Hodder from Israel will be speaking on advanced speaking in English and how she uses the immersive world to strengthen that experience. He'll return with learning coding using the Eureka LSL blocks. So it's like a Blockly language, only he's using physical blocks to teach how to code. So that'll be fun. And then, of course, what Rhiannon was introducing with the Nara's Nook group, the published authors who they publish romance and paranormal romance and sci-fi romance and they just have such amazing stories. In their story world, you can meet their characters, experience the story, and they're really thinking through what matters most when we read and we let our imaginations wander. And so they have worked really hard on this. They took a region, um, they they made a copy of it, and they tested out all their bots. And you're going to have to increase the number of avatars you see in the settings, the preferences, and we'll have tips on that at the event. So you can see 22 of their bots do these amazing things during that session. Then I'm going to take folks, as if they wish, for about 45 minutes on a shopping tour in Hypergrid. Give some tips on how you find cool content, how you go and visit these places, and pick up some souvenirs, some landmarks, etc. So it's not just the notion that we go and do these things, but how do we navigate smoothly? How do we resolve any conflicts? How do we make sure that our packages, the things we pick up, return back to our home worlds with us, right? And so we're going to talk about that. That's an extension of what I already gave here at the Nonprofit Commons, and I also did a show on Meta World Broadcasting with Mal Burns on it. We're thinking we might do a repeat segment of this in the future. Okay, meanwhile, the future is here, and Mal Burns has a panel on it. And he also has a backup plan just in case there's any technological issues with his session. And if there are, he has all kinds of in world review news to share with us. So we're so excited. I watched a couple of those shows while I was waiting to be interviewed on his show, and it was just so breathtaking how much is going on. I was just riveted. Then we have the segment on Arcadia Asylum coming up. Um, First, Mike Laurie with their work on a standards group for the Open Metaverse Research Group. And that's a kickoff, and he wants to invite people to participate. So that's an important area there. And then at 2 o'clock, Ada Radius and Kayaker and AI Austin and a whole bunch of wonderful community members are going to talk about both the Max avatar, new mesh bodies for OpenSim avatars. And yes, these are free and available and have clothing and just all kinds of cool content. So we're really going to get into identity at this conference. And then the Home for Arcadia Asylum is going to be launching that curated collection of free content that's just absolutely amazing. Here in World, I was looking through my inventory while Rhiannon was talking, and if you did a search for Arcadia, you would have noticed the note cards that pop up and the cool hobo collection. Stranger, you have some of that, and you just all these cool content that we have here in World that of course is part of that collection. Then we have a break. And then it's Val and the team with Help, I'm Lost in the Metaverse. And I love those topics and the wonderful stuff there. And Val, I'll pause for a moment. Do you want to talk about your session? If you're AFK, and I know you're remote, you're at your families. So if you're not able to, please feel welcome to pipe into the text chat if you have anything you want to give us. But they have an amazing booth set up this year with all kinds of content and so I want to recommend that for you at the OSCC Expo Zone 3 to experience that. Then Sally Cherry has this generative AI to create content for 3D immersive virtual worlds. So how do we bridge communities with all these AI tools? Sally's going to take us there. And then Beth is going to extend her session on making classic clothing in open simulator worlds. Now, I have to admit, I'm often classic in these worlds, and the reason is I can put on the layers quite quickly. I don't have to worry about layers disappearing when I'm teaching or speaking. And so I'm thankful for Beth's efforts. Last year, I went to her workshop where she showed us how to make prim-based clothing like skirts and stuff like that. And I, of course, made one of the flexi skirts that I dearly love, the ones that move and drift around my body. And so we had such a good time at that. Then of course it's the newborn session. Rachel Umorin is going to be at a conference while she presents this. She has a co-speaker, and they're going to be bridging worlds between two conferences and the content that they wish to share on their research and how essential it is to use virtual worlds to help strengthen the lives of newborn babies and reduce mortality rates. Then we'll have closing and photos. We invite you to come take a photo with us where we have our memories of not just the conference, but our community at large. And then we party and celebrate. We have 3 hours of party. I'm not showing them all here on this schedule, but once again, we have DJs and singers and a party. We have 2 hours of it on our property, and then we go over to Wildwood Bayou. I think it's at 8 or 9 o'clock for that event. And then, but wait, we're not done yet. We have social events and community events and tours and workshops for the following week, depending on who signs up on that Get Involved. And then also we have a couple that we're planning in the works, and they'll be coming onto the schedule once we have those set. Over to you, Rhiannon. Oh, is he? Oh, okay. Wow, I didn't realize he had said last year he would, but he wasn't feeling well, so I didn't want to press him. You know how it is. Oh, good. Okay. Great. Yeah, that's amazing. And his party is so much fun, the after party. So we are going to be partying all night long. Well, this is a scene from the community meetup yesterday where we met for 2 hours and thought about education and our various communities. Not everyone who was there was an educator. Some are technologists or working with therapy groups or with persons with disabilities. And so we're thankful to hear all the bridging technologies, what people are doing, and do a little swap meet, of ideas and content. So we did that yesterday outside. These are the speaker booth areas that I was talking about. And of course, we were sitting here and I was looking at the back of our booth while we were there at Kay's in the area. This is what the speaker booths look like from the air. There are 23 of them. They're numbered. And I have this little map as you land in the center of the region. If you look to one side, you'd see this map and it has a short description of each of those sessions and the person's name. And you'll notice booth 5 has two things. It has the new avatars, the Max avatars, and then it also has the Arcadia Asylum collection. And so that's a fantastic one. Now, Val's booth's back in the back. It's around the 910 area, and you can't miss it. If you look up, you'll see the VWEC spinning and all the cool content. And I say Val's, but I know that VWEC means many of us, right? And so I want you to think of you have connections in these worlds, even if you're not there, okay? So So check out the content here. And of course, if you'd like a copy of this, I can give you one. If you joined us in progress, remember all these slides. I put them on Google Docs because I'm getting old and tired. No. And I also have them on SlideShare as part of my collection, so I remember what I've done, right? And I am, for those of you who know me, I'm semi-retiring in one sense. I'm no longer going to work for 5 schools, only 4. That's my idea of retirement, right? And yeah. Uh, so 5 fewer classes a term. Right now I'm teaching 15 classes and I have 7 of them ending on Saturday, and it's Saturday through Monday. And so if you think you're busy this weekend, I just want you to get a sense of, what busy is like. So this is an aerial looking down over the speaker booth area, and I just want to say a shout out. This conference is only possible thanks to you. We bridge between our communities. Many of you are greeting people or working behind the scenes in Discord to help us plan and keep all the details straight. And we are so thankful for you. You know, um, yeah, go ahead. Hmm. That's it. And you have to realize behind the scenes, we are talking about other sessions and stuff. And here's the way I think of it. If we have time to do everything, that's great. If we don't, we are so blessed with so many creative efforts, and 2024 will also be amazing. We and of course BWBPE is coming up. I'm not stealing your thunder, LV, but of course they're in call for proposals. So if you have ideas that you weren't able to get into OSCC or through our event sign up, which we're still taking, you can still sign up to do things, then of course remember
Yep.
BWBPE is in call for proposals. So
And
take a
Rockcliffe is a
little.
sponsor as well, so they have a booth
That's
up
right.
with information as well. So that's in
Yeah,
the
see, we are all together in
OSCC
this.
Expo 4.
That's it.
Yes.
Visit the OSCC zone Expo Zone 4 for Rockcliffe content. And you notice this blue arrow coming down here? Now we're going to talk about something that's very important to you in Second Life, in OpenSim, and everywhere you go. And that is the recent, how many of you saw the recent news in Firestorm on the fact that they have removed the current viewer from their site? Anyone? Give me a yes or a no if you're aware of this. Okay, so Ellie is, Sheila isn't. This is important for your communities, for your schools, for your folks, because you may be wondering, hey, what happened? And yeah, you're aware of it, but now what's the impact for our people, right? And so that we want to talk about that. So it's not just the OSCC. We of course want you to come visit if you can, but we also want to give you some tips that'll strengthen your 2024 while they are fixing the software. Okay, so you see that do not touch. I know I put a blue arrow on it, right? But the answer here is do not touch that button. You can continue to use your current viewer if you do not touch it, okay? So no touchy. So, and of course, I should have said that on the arrow, but it was like 2 in the morning when I did this, right? So, so there we are. So let's talk about it for just a moment. All right, this is exactly what's on the site. All I did was copy it, and and of course, this was related to that news flash that you see when you log in. The wow one, right? And of course, they have a bug in that, and it's for 6.6.16. So if you look at your Firestorm viewer, if you're using Firestorm, in the upper left corner, if you're using 6.6.16, that means you're using a version that has the bug. Okay, so they removed it. Now, rolling back is not easy for people. So I'm not rolling back, because the last thing I want to do is do that right before the night before a conference, right? I believe in staple. So let's take a look at what this means to us. Well, if you were wondering about your version, you could always click on the help. It's on the menu bar. I put two arrows near it so you can see it. And of course, and I have mine extended, so I have the advanced and the developer menus up as well. But when you click that, a very busy dialog box appears about 20 seconds later, right? And what it's doing is it reads your system, it looks up all of your stats, and it gives you a long list of them. But the first segment is really the interesting one for you, which is what's my version, right? And can I access OpenSimulator with it? Or is this Second Life only, right? That's the first thing. And the reason they're different is because Second Life uses Havoc physics, and that's a licensed and expensive form of physics. And you cannot, in open source worlds, bundle it with a licensed bit of software. You have to use open source tools, and we use BulletSim or UBODE for our physics. Okay, so so anyway, so that's the first variation, and that's why we have two different viewers for experiencing these worlds. I am currently on the version you see right there, the OpenSimulator version. Now, in my world, I'm using three different Firestorm viewers, in case you were wondering. I use this one, which is the release, the last release. I use a beta one, and I use an alpha one, which is testing seriously new products beyond PBR, beyond the little pop-up, the folder icons with all the little textures in them and all the little wonderful weirdness. I test all of that to help give them strength for the future of our work, right? And I'm doing that through the core dev group as well. So, so if you look at yours, you can tell whether or not you can easily visit OpenSimulator using the current version you're logged into. But you could have many versions of Firestorm currently installed. And all you have to do is point to the correct one to log into OpenSimulator. Okay. Um, And of course, I'm reminding you here, they will eventually fix this. It won't be long, but let's face it, it's the holiday, right? The holidays are coming up, and all of these people are volunteers who tirelessly do this for free, right? They don't get compensation. And so please realize that they have advised for people to go back to 6.6.14. But here's what happens when you do. Let me tell you. If you do, you need to do a clean install, which means to remove everything related to your viewer, not your chats, not your saved files, right? But you do have to remove your settings. And I have a little tip for Windows users, okay? If you were in File Explorer, which means the thing that has your directory of folders, right? And in the address line, if you typed percent app data percent, that expression right there, that's a logical that points directly to your app roaming folder where all your chats are, where you save IMs and the local chat and that kind of thing. So if you ever wanted to back that folder up, you know, for your posterity or because you work with clients or people in need and you wanted to save the things that they've talked about just in case, that's the fast way to get to it, okay? Without any arcane permissions or administrator uh, rights or whatever, okay? So that's my quickie way to get to that and copy that folder and put it somewhere else so I have my memory. I have to do it because I teach in World. I'm teaching my 60th class, that's 60, this term in virtual world, and I have to save the messages that students send me in World about their projects and content. Okay, so, so what does this mean to us? Okay. Well, here we're looking at, I am in OpenSim. I am on the conference site, and I have brought up the world map. And this will be important also for what we're going to do for the shopping trip. So I'm going to give a little short segment teaching people how to use the world map and the hypergrid and how to navigate different places. And so I'll be providing a version of this at the conference on Sunday. But you'll notice that I'm looking at the conference site. I can see the conference map because I happen to be there currently. If I wasn't there, if I was on Kitely or somewhere else on the Avicon grid or OS grid or somewhere else, I would not see the detail work for these regions on the world map until I arrived there, and then they would start to load. Okay, but you can see the URL, and of course there's a tip for it at the top. We often do it without the HTTPS colon slash slash, but if it does not work for you, then I add it. One or the other will work, to get to these kinds of locations, and that's a hypergrid tip. If you have any questions on that, please let me know. I am copying that. Let's see if I show you here. Yeah, that's just an enlarged version so you can see it a little bit easier. I copy it into that field, the find field, and then I click the find button and you'll see that if I find it, I see it highlighted right underneath it and I can select it and teleport to it. And in our case, you land on a landing zone. They're right above um, the OSCC keynote regions. And the reason we use all these landing zones is so that people do not have congestion when they log in, and we have fewer downtimes and fewer disruptions in service, right? So we're managing the traffic and flow. That way we can support 100 or more users, right, arriving, around the same time as they go between all the different conference sites and the hypergrid. So how do you find these addresses? Well, if you're in an OpenSim version of Firestorm or another viewer, right? There is in your preferences, when you do a Control P or a Command P or however you get your preferences up, you'll notice there's an OpenSim link towards the bottom left. And when you click on it, you see all the sites that have been preloaded for you, and that includes the OpenSimulator Community Conference. But if on our shopping trip we go to regions or grids where they're not part of the list, you can add them easily at the very top where you see that white box. You would add it there and you'd click apply, and then it would populate from the server all that information on the bottom half of the page. And that's what I do when I create my class grid. This year, Andy calls it Lobo World. I feel like Disney World, except without all the cool Disney content. And uh, a- anyway, I add all our different special grids because we run 18 grids and we have to add them physically to this collection, so, and then it stays in your repository. Now, when you log in, when you bring up Firestorm, you change the grid you're pointing to, or if you've already logged in, you just switch to that login avatar name and it'll say at OpenSim Community Conference, or it'll say at Kitely, at OS Grid, etc. Right? So you can navigate between them all. And you can get back to Second Life by saying at Second Life, right? And that's how I logged in today. So this is a quick look at your help when you pull this up, and you'll notice you can see your licenses, you can see everything. I looked through the credits last night and I was just amazed at how many people there are probably over 200 names of people who make our world possible through these viewers. And so I'm so thankful for them. Okay. What's also cool about this is if ever anyone ever asks you for details about your system, the third paragraph goes into all the details about your system, including your memory, your video memory, your cards, your drivers, you name it. It's all there. So if you ever had someone asking you questions about it, you can certainly look at that. Now, Joyce pointed this out to me. To address this issue, they say you can roll back to 6.6.14, but we know at the top of this page it says if you roll back, you have to do a clean install, which means to remove all Firestorm files from your program files area on Windows, and of course from your area on the Mac that you're using. But that is not your chats. That's not your text messages and all the things you're saving. It is your settings. So when you're in that app data logical that I gave you earlier, you would see settings.xml is one of the files there. You would have to delete that one because that saves the current settings and there's a conflict between them when you go back to an earlier version. They may have redefined how one or more of those settings are set, and that'll be a conflict. You know, if you ever get the white screen of death or the black screen of death when you're logging into Firestorm, the way you fix that is you delete that settings.xml file. And when you do, it just brings up a clean login screen, and you have to reset your settings, your preferences in your preferences folder. So that means I have to reset how my chat looks, my double click teleport, my advanced menus and developer menu, things like that, my hover tips. There's a whole series of things I reset. I auto accept inventory from students, so I set that and little things like that. And I can reset it all in about 20 seconds. I'm that fast. I've done it quite a bit. But you'll notice if you're going to join us and you do not have the OpenSimulator version of Firestorm, look at the very bottom of this page. You will notice on this special older releases page that they guide you to, at the very bottom, you see the SL and OpenSim version. This is the version you'd want to install. The installation of this will not conflict, it should not conflict with your current Firestorm unless you're running 6.6.16, right? And that's when they say you need a clean install. This version you can use to connect to Second Life and to OpenSim. And I ran this one for several months.
Can I pop
Okay,
in
so
for
any
just a second?
yeah, go right ahead,
Yeah, so
Joyce.
when we noticed, actually, it was a speaker kind of that alerted us to this weirdness that they couldn't, and this is important for any new users, right? Because we obviously have speakers and attendees that are new. So beyond what Lyra's going into with how you need to roll back, which is important for many of us here who might be using Firestorm, if um, for new users, right now many of us point people directly to the firestorm.org site, firestormviewer.org site. And when you do that on the front page, there isn't, and they go to downloads or on the front page itself, if they go to downloads, there still is a downloads page, but they can't actually, those downloads don't work if they click their platform or they go to they go to Firestorm for the regular SL viewers or for the OpenSim version. It just has a little link like go to the page that she's showing here to download a prior version. And then new users have to navigate through this menu here, which isn't exactly very intuitive. So they
Mm-mm.
have to click on that menu that says Firestorm 6.6.14. There are other releases there as it goes down, and then they have to select what their platform is. That's what's under that kind of midway down where it says Windows, Max, and Linux. And then they have to, as she said, once they go into that specific section for their operating system, find which particular one is right for them. And they may not understand what 64-bit or 32-bit is if on a Windows version. If they're looking for OpenSimulator or even Second Life, they might download the wrong viewer that is not right for them. And this is especially important on the Macs because the Mac versions are distinctly, and Linux, they're distinctly either Second Life or OpenSimulator. At least in Windows, there is a kind of a hybrid one in that way, but that if they downloaded the OpenSimulator, they still could get into Second Life. But so it's very confusing, and I put above the actual direct download links for 6.6.14 that you can share with new users, and or if you're going to do a rollback. And if you click them, it'll download. So don't download them if you don't need them, but maybe save that in a note card for anybody who does have new folks that come in who you might be walking them through Firestorm, because just sending them directly to firestormviewer.org is very confusing for right now. Even even for many of us, never mind for a new person.
That's right. That's right. Um, so thankful you mentioned that. You'll notice I just typed something in that's a little controversial. There's a reason we're having a viewer panel this year. We don't have panels just to eat up time. We have some serious things to talk about. And one of them is I was told, and it could be correct or incorrect, but we need a conversation about it, is that support for some of the Mac versions of the viewer may be ending. And we all have Mac users. Son, take care, son. Have a good one. He just left. He's a Mac user, and so yeah. Well, we're at the end of our session here. I'll just breeze on ahead. This is just to remind you that you use the same viewer to get back and forth between Second Life and OpenSim and other worlds. Have a great conference, and thanks everyone.
And before we wrap, the other thing that I want to ask folks is we still are in need of at least, especially some more greeters. So if you're going to be attending the conference anyways, and you don't mind also helping out, because many of the greeters are sitting in the keynote area anyway, um, and watching the presentations. It would be fantastic if you could help also lend a few sessions here or there of time of being able to kind of help greet. Um, and so I'll give the link here. And if you've got an avatar, either on the OSCC grid or even a hypergrid, if you're in Kitely or if you're in OS grid or anything, this is absolutely a role that you can just use your existing account wherever you are, avatar, and bring it on over. We put you into the right group, so you have access to everything, which is another nice perk as a volunteer. You get to sit in Keynote Region 1, and when you want to watch when you're kind of off duty volunteering and watch the presentations, you get to go to the VIP Q&A. All those things are usually just locked to staff, volunteers, and for those who help crowdfund. So it does give you some extra access, which is nice, and we very much appreciate some extra hands. So that is the form that I put in, and you can also message me. And if you've volunteered before, like you might already be in things, but um, there's a link to a schedule doc that we will ask you to fill in some session stuff for. So that way we just know like you might be around during these times to greet, and that's really kind of it. And then otherwise it's just being helpful and friendly, and there may be questions about, mostly it's how do I get from point A to point B, how do I watch the presentations, and the usual stuff, similar stuff than you would help if you have ever assisted here in events. So in Second Life, it's the same. So So that's it. I mean, thank you, Lear, for kind of putting this stuff together. And again, it kind of evolved the presentation that we were giving today.
And to Wisdom Seeker and to Ellie, the moderator scripts, just tirelessly working
Yes.
behind the scenes. Val for coordinating all the VWEC content, and so many of you, you've just Buffy. You have been our rock, and you've set the tone for how every
Yes.
conference goes. And you have to realize each of you, in whatever capacity you're in or were in the past, we are so thankful for you.
Yes. And I should say that's an important like little comment there, that much of the success of any current OSCC is built upon all the past iterations of everybody who's helped put it together, you know? Um, so when we get comments from even the presenters or other people that, wow, this is going very smoothly and are amazed that like it does, it's because it's built upon the shoulders of everybody's work, the all the prior years before that. Um, yeah, so certainly, like, if you can, please, if you've got some extra time and you're going to attend anyways, we'd love to have you as an extra greeter for things. um, and then otherwise, if you have questions or you want sort of some hand holding or assistance on like getting an avatar set up in either the conference grid or how to hypergrid your avatar in, just ping us. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
yeah, either directly here or I'm going to give you the OSCC organizer's email.
And thank you, LV. I was asking her for the open mic stuff because I know people are leaving and
Yes,
they want the
yes.
news.
Yeah, yes, please add into that. And then
Absolutely.
this is how, if you have any problems during, you can
Yes,
always,
Sally, we're so excited about your session.
yeah. And if you have any problems during, you can email us there, or if you want to,
Yeah, go for it, Ellie. Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I said that wrong. Okay.
Yeah, we are simultaneous, we are everywhere.
Yeah, that's the right email address here. This one.
Today at 1 o'clock,
Yeah.
experts in philosophy of AI.
And if you're really brave, you can go to that event like Dave did now. grab
Yeah,
some grab some
yeah.
Arcadia Asylum stuff and look at it.
Oh, cool.
By
Where
the
did
way,
Dave go? I missed it. Yeah.
he's going to Kayakers event. By the way, speaking of
Oh, okay,
Arcadia
great.
Asylum, I
Uh-huh.
looked in my
Oh, yeah.
inventory and I have this lovely giver box of old Arcadia Asylum content. You too can have some
Yeah, me
Arcadia
too.
Asylum content. So click on that, buy it for zero lindens. It should hopefully work and give you a copy. So hopefully it is will actually work.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah.
Well, I'll run on over there too. I'm trying to be everywhere at once, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great conference. Join us on YouTube, if not in person, and we'll see you. And yes, Sally has an amazing booth
Yeah,
too.
and I would say
Thank you.
if you're presenting, we went over it, but feel free to you can share those times also during share times that you're presenting here in chat.
And if you want a little mini viewer, you're welcome to my the viewer that's enlarging
The
before us
slides.
and
Yeah.
to grab it. Yeah. And of course, we have them in
Yeah.
on the Google Doc
And if you
for
are
anyone who just joined
volunteering,
us.
by the way, we're also meeting on the conference grid at 2 p.m. today. It's our kind of final organizers meeting. So you're welcome to come to that too if you're interested. We can also onboard you there if that's another option for you.
That's it. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
Yes, absolutely. If you're not able to, you certainly, the live stream URL is, you can watch it live. Everything, all the content, not the music events, of course, but all the regular content gets streamed on the Saturday and Sunday. And thank you guys, all of you.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, and now I guess, luckily we can all navigate this firestorm thing together too until it gets updated.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Hmm. Yep. That definitely evolved, I think, today a little bit, which probably made things go over time because we wanted to make sure that we went into that, which wasn't necessarily initially part, obviously, of our presentation, but very important to all of us, regardless of which platform we use.
That's it. Well, I've tidied up.
That's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm going to head on over too, I guess over to OSCC and for that.
Yeah, kayaker should be a mid thing.
And what region is that on?
You can look at the schedule. I mean, it's not on our conference grid. It's a hypergrid address, and I don't know that
Oh,
off the top
okay,
of my head.
great. Yeah, let me pull that up. And I just got new sites in to try out for the shopping trip, so I have to go visit them before Sunday. Hot off the press, you know?
At the shopping spot.
That's right.
Yeah.
I pop in from time to time and shop and the Surreal Museum. Oh my goodness, I love visiting there.
Oh, yeah, we forgot to
Mhm.
bring that up too. But yes, there's a
Yeah,
there's
No,
an
plus
art
we're going to
gallery.
there.
have free art and all the landing zones for people to pick up. And
Yeah.
this year they asked me for a piece too, and I donated some work for it as
Oh
well.
yeah, that's nice.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
she was doing a bunch of outreach. And I think she's got some and you'd find this interesting too, Sarvana. She's also got some AI generated stuff from folks too.
All right.
Yeah. There's there's these amazing like giant like totem like poles in the back of two of the regions in the keynotes. You'll see them. Like I look back there all the time like, "Oh, hey, they look very tall and they're in the back behind the audience."
Oh yeah.
It's
Well, I'm
amazing.
going to breeze on over there real quick. They just started 9 minutes ago, so
Now
Yes.
take
where's
care.
this on? Is this on
Huh?
Kitely or is it
Yeah, I
somewhere?
think
It's
it is. I'm
because
looking
I
at
know
it
he's
right now.
okay.
Here's
He's
the
on
page.
Kitely.
Here's the page
Okay.
for it. I'll go ahead and link it here in World so you can just open
Okay.
it. And it
I
says,
think
well, it says
I'll switch avatars and go over.
mediaasylum.org. I'm sure it's a Kitely address, but it doesn't say Kitely. Okay.
I know he. I think he's worked out of Kitely. I go sailing with him in Kitely. Oh my
Sure.
goodness, he has so many nice little gadgets to play with
Yes,
over
he
there.
does.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, take care, Sally, and bye,
All right,
everyone.
thank you,
Bye,
thank
stranger.
Take
you.
care.
Take care, Buffy.
Hi, Buffy. Okay, George, what I did, I decided to
Hi,
leave
Red.
my, I decided to leave my Exhibit 29 up.
Oh, good. Okay.